is Saturday, and I am down at Mike's shed. Because of the coronavirus, Mike and I have decided to work independently down here at the shed. Instead of working together, we're doing our part to try and socially separate ourselves as much as possible here. I have a wife who has a problem right now, and her immune system's a bit compromised. So I really don't want to bring home something like COVID, and therefore I am doing everything I can to stay as safe as I can. Mike is doing the same. He is working from home now, but still, to be extra safe, we just decided that it would be better if we took turns. Now, Mike doesn't film when he's working, so you won't see anything he did, but if you look behind me right here at this beautiful table, you will see the remnants of 3 or 4 hours worth of Mike's work about 2 days ago. And this is the Harlem Globetrotter table that we had worked on a while back, and we put on pause a little bit while we were getting our LED boards and parts in and built. And those have been done. So the first thing I'm going to do is take you down to the table here with a couple of handheld close-ups and show you these boards that Mike has mounted on the table, and talk to you a little bit about the modification I had to do to fix my mistake. Now, I've already showed that in the previous video, but I have the boards done, and I tested them all out individually, and they all look good. So now we're at the process of actually trying to wire it up. And that's what I plan to do today. I'm going to wire up these lights. But let me bring you down to the table and give you a close-up of these things, and then I'll put you back up on the tripod and you can watch while I work. Okay, so to start with, all of these long boards that are in here are multi-LED boards, and I've gone through and on each one of them I have made a little island out of the power plug so that the power and ground are no longer shorted out. It took me the better part of 3 or 4 hours to get these all done and fix all the problems. That's a single, so it didn't need to be modified. But you can see in here that Mike has installed singles where singles will work, and you can also see a little chalk line that he said here is the way the wires are going to run through these. So he laid out the path that will snake through the table and wire it all up. So I'm going to be starting down here on this end where the rest of the cables come in with this board, and then I'm going to wire it on down. Now, the first part of this are the boards that I manufactured that do not have the crimp down connectors on them because I put them too close together. It's just bad design and my fault. But those are going to have to be soldered. So that's going to take a little bit of piddly time because I'm going to have to strip and solder the wires on between all those. So I'm going to start on that. And I'll probably have you guys up on the tripod just watching in high-speed mode as I solder those together. And when we finally get down to the crimp-on ones or the snap-down ones, I'll show you how that works. The other thing I need to do is I manufactured a joining plate to join the LEDs from all 3 of these pop bumper rings that are going to be mounted on the other side. Those haven't been done yet, and the plate is over on the table over there, so I'm going to mount that right here in the open, so that will have to be connected in line with one of these wires, whichever way it runs. So I'm probably going to start with that, get that in place so I know where it's going to go. The other thing that I'm going to do is up here on this skirt, there's only 2 LEDs, and Mike said, you know, I forgot that I want to add 2 more LEDs so that there's 4 LEDs on each side like we've done with the last 2 tables we've done. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that there's adequate spare cabling to reach the extra lines that I'm putting in here when I wire this up. So if I forget, you guys remind me, okay? Because once I get started, I'm liable to zone out and forget about it. But I'm going to put you up on a tripod now, and we will get started. Well, a real quick thing. I do not have the board that needs to be mounted here. I thought I had given it to Mike the other day when he came down here to work on this stuff. Apparently, I forgot to put it in the bag with all the rest of the LEDs and stuff, so I must still have that at home. So I will not be putting that down today, like I said. So I am just going to start with the wiring of the cables here. So I'm going to put you in hyperlapse now, and we'll start that wiring. I think you've probably seen enough of what I'm doing here, so I'm not going to film until I get over to this connector over here, which I think is the first one that I press down, and then I'll bring you back and show you that. Okay, I've wired up just a couple of more LEDs using the soldering technique. Comes around from the board over there around to here, and now I am at the first board where I'm going to connect it up using the little crimp connectors. These are called IDCs, for insulation displacement connectors. And what you have is a little tool like this, and these little caps. You don't have to use the caps. They'll work with or without caps, but it's a different crimping tool if you use it without the caps. But you take this this tool, you load the connector in line so that the gaps are lined up there. You take your wire, you lay it across the connector like this, you line this up, and you push it down until it crimps through, and that's it. And then no soldering required, and it should make contact. That's the theory. So I'll load up a second one, and I'll crimp this second one down. I'm going to push this first one down a little farther. It doesn't look like it went all the way down. Okay, so that cable goes through there. Now all I need to do is take a pair of dikes and cut the wire between the two. And I have an input to output, and it runs up to the next connector. Now the next connector is again a solder connector, so I'll have to go back to my soldering iron way of doing things. But I will bring you back again when I start running the power leads, because they're all going to be crimped down or pressed down. Okay, we're going to go through a rather long run of the crimp down connectors, the IDCs. this cable is going to wrap around and connect to here, and from there it goes to here, 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 and here. Anyway, it continues on around. So I'm going to film this in real time. I'm probably going to not talk and put some audio over this, but you can watch as I put these things down. By the way, some people might wonder how good these connectors are. They are rated for automotive use. So they are crimp connectors that can be put on circuit boards that are put in cars and will handle the jostling and vibrations of cars moving around. So they should handle a pinball machine just fine. And as you can see, I'm just going from one to the other. I'll go back at the end and clip the wires out from in between so that this signal line is isolated. Now when we run the power lines, we don't have to do that cutting. We just go from one to the next board to the next board, and we're done. No cutting, no joining, except where we have to splice a couple of wires together because we run out of length. I was was hoping I wouldn't do that. I really need a little cap or something to stash those in. Okay, I am back to the solder terminals now. It's going to wrap around here, go back up to the top. Actually, I made a mistake. I'm supposed to be going down to here. So I'll remove those and go in the other direction. But I'm going to go ahead and stop the film here, and I'll continue on down the line here. I just pulled that connector off of there, rewired it, brought it down to here. I was just going to show you now that I'm going to go through, and I need to get a new wire to continue that. So I'm going to come through here and clip all these in-between wires off. Let me see if I can find a better pair of dikes. This one's not good at the very tip. Let's try this one. Okay, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but right here is where it used to be crimped in there, and there's a couple of little, cuts through the wire, but it pretty much closes back up, and I'm not going to worry about that. This is just a signal wire, and it's not going to cause any real major issues. It shouldn't be ever touching anything out here in the middle of the table. So anyway, I'm going to get another new blue wire and continue on down the line here. Okay, I moved the camera up a little bit so you guys can watch me knock the rest of these down. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but we are actually reusing wire that we harvested from the old machines, primarily because it's better wire than we can buy nowadays. It's pure copper, it's nice and thick, it's got a good vinyl insulation on it that's easy to cut through for these IDCs. And I've lost my crimping tool, so I might pause you guys while I hunt this thing down. So anyway, the wires, this one was blue and white, this one is blue and yellow. It doesn't really make any difference. The color scheme we've kind of planned to go with is that the power line is going to be red with some stripe. The signal line is blue with some stripe, and the ground wire is either going to be black or white. I don't remember very many black wires though, so there may not be any, and we might have to go with white or yellow as the ground wire. Had I thought about this sooner, I might have gone with blue as the ground and white as the signal, but I'm too far along now to make that decision. These things really are quite easy to install, and I was happy to see when I pulled the connector off the other one that these things were definitely connected all the way down and crimped down between the company that makes these makes two different types of crimping tools or heads. The handle's the same for all of them. We got the plastic head, which cost about $9. I could be wrong about that. It's a memory thing. But the metal one was about, I'm gonna say $60, $50, something like that. So US. And we decided that we weren't doing enough of these to warrant a metal bit. At least not until we break this one and figure out how volatile they are. So just need to be careful. I do think we're going to order one of the tools that doesn't require the plastic caps, because they would be nice for testing and things like that. Okay, and we're back to a solder on one, so I'm going to have to stop here and get my soldering gun back out. Okay, I have the one soldered on right there, and now I'm going to continue crimping them down along the path here. So we are back to a fairly long line of solder-on connectors. So I'm going to stop the filming here, and I will bring you back when I find something interesting to show you. Well guys, I finally finished running the signal wires. They're laced all the way across the board, around over through here, down around, and finally to the last connector. I don't have an output wire because I don't need one. But of course this took a lot longer than I was hoping. It's been about 2.5 hours to string that one wire. Now I just can't stop. The reason I just paused was I just realized that I forgot to leave the loop here for 2 extra wires. So this one will have to be extended a little bit, but that's not hard to do. We can take care of that. Anyway, I am going to run one of the power wires just to see how long that takes, but I probably won't film that. So this is going to be the end of the filming for today. So thanks for watching, and hopefully I can get back to you real soon. Okay, I brought you guys back for one last look because I knocked down a red wire. Again, this is for the missing one that we need to put in there, so there's a little extra there. And right here is where the pop bumper connectors are going to go, so I left a little extra wire there. But I knocked this wire down in probably 5 minutes. Got to the end of my wire, so I need to splice another wire onto there and keep on going. But I'm not going to do that today because, like I said, I've run out of time already. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be another 45 minutes to finish all of the red wiring and the black wiring, and then we can hook a tester up and see how this thing works. So again, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in a little while.